production, scope, significance, and classification of floriculture crops, plants, bedding and garden plants, cut foliage or greens, cut flowers, floriculture crops. Foliage plants, greenhouse crops, nursery crops. Floriculture production, exports and imports in Nepal. Establishment and management of floriculture enterprises, nurseries, greenhouses, tissue culture. Role botanical garden in plant conservation and development. What is botanical garden? Objectives of the botanical gardens. History of botanical garden. Major botanical gardens of the world. Functions of botanical garden. Concept of garden landscaping designs. Definition. Planning. Elements of design. Line, straight line, curved lines, vertical lines, horizontal lines. Form, circular form, square form, plant forms, tree forms, shrub forms, ground cover forms. Texture of plants. Coarse texture, fine texture, medium texture. Principles of design. Order, symmetrical balance, asymmetrical balance. National policy and institutions for floriculture promotion. 2. Ornamental plants in garden and nature. Introduction of different types cultivated and natural ornamental plants. Examples of lawn plant, pot plants, cut flower crops, bulbous plants, annuals and other bedding plants, rock garden plants, bonsai, and aquatic plants. Distribution of wild ornamental plants in different physiographical zones of Nepal. Concept of garden landscaping designs. Definition, planning. 1. Elements of design. Line, straight line, curved lines, vertical lines, horizontal lines. Form, circular form, square form, plant forms, tree forms, shrub forms, ground cover forms. Texture of plants, coarse texture, fine texture, medium texture. 2. Principles of design, order, symmetrical balance, asymmetrical balance. Concept of garden landscaping designs. Definition. Garden landscaping or garden design can be defined as the art of organizing and enriching garden space through the placement of plants and landscapes. It is the arrangement of outdoor space for human enjoyment and satisfaction as well. It uses elements and principles of design. It creates a garden or landscape that a homeowner can enjoy as well as providing monetary and environmental benefits. Merely planting trees and shrubs is not good garden design. Garden designing is an art and a science. Garden landscaping means creating a plan designed to make the best use of the available space in the most attractive way. It means understanding the science of plant requirements, soil and weather. It means knowing how to use our principles and elements of design. The goal is a plan for the best use of the site, minimum upkeep as well as a pleasant appearance. The budget is also very important. It is no longer just plants around the base of a home or building. The garden landscaping design consists of elements and principles of design which are described separately below. The value of a well-designed landscape. The landscape design has the following benefits and values to us. Landscape design is for people. It enhances the environment by making a space a more enjoyable place to be. It can be a place for relaxation and/or entertainment. It provides air and noise pollution control. It creates shade and reduces wind, providing more comfort for people. It provides screens for privacy. Landscape design is for energy conservation. Deciduous trees provide summer cooling and winter sunlight. Evergreen shrubs can act as an insulator for cooling and heating. Landscape design has monetary benefits. Professional landscaping increases property value. Landscape design can help the environment. Proper use of plant material, chemicals, and soil preparation can help protect our environment by using less water and chemicals. Planning. A garden plan is important for an aesthetic view of your house and taking advantage of the relaxing beauty of nature in your domestic nature. A good garden plan needs a good planner. The tips to make a good garden plan. First of all, you should draw a sketch of your garden. You should formulate your ideas in mind by drawing, considering your budget. You must decide to buy what kind of garden, like modern, traditional, for your taste. Imagine what kind of garden you want. Mark places where you want to hide in the sketch so you can use long plant to block unwelcome views in these places. If you want to live a natural life by planting vegetables, the soil structure of the garden is so important that you should get information from an expert about plant selection. Watch out for garden planning. While you are choosing plants, you must avoid plants which can be most attacked by insects in order to have no damage to your plant design. Use small trees to provide shade or to stop the wind in winter. You should have colorful flowers to create an amusing atmosphere. Choose a fast-growing plant around the hedge to provide privacy from your neighbors. Arrange plants with their size, form, and color with a harmonious atmosphere. The walls of garden can be decorated with creeper so that wall is not blank. If you have not got any time to strike plants, you must choose perennial plants or trees, and plants must be suitable for your climate. In the front yard, evergreen or deciduous tree shrubs and shrubs are used in solitary or small groups to create a soft appearance. Gravel walkways are suitable for flat surfaces for walking instead of grass or soil. While lighting your plants, you should make sure that the lighting you use will not harm your plant. For example, conifers absorb light, so you should not use lighting on them. Shadow is created by directing the light source placed on the ground upwards. Especially, this method makes tree trunks look more beautiful. Plant selection and placement. Select plants according to their climatic adaptability to the microclimate of the location, plant architecture, and availability. Plants should be spaced far enough from the house so that there is adequate air circulation near the house. Generally, space plants from the house by at least the distance of the plant radius at maturity. Spacing plants too close to the house is a common mistake. 1. Elements of garden landscaping design. The elements of design include line, form, and texture of plants. To create a desirable landscape design, you should have the knowledge of elements use and design principles. A. Line, straight line, curved lines, vertical lines, horizontal lines. Line is one of the most important and useful of all design elements. Everything in the garden involves line, plant arrangement, and the way they fit or flow together in fur line. It defines forms and creates edges and shape. A pathway, drive, or fence is a clear and readily accessible line in the landscape. As you plan and design your garden, always consider the line that is created by whatever you are adding. Lines direct the movement of the eye through a landscape. It determines the way beds and paths flow together. Different types of lines elicit various emotional responses. Straight lines are formal and direct, while curved lines are more gentle and natural, and zigzag lines can be exciting or distracting. Consider line when shaping beds and walkways, or in choosing hardscape elements such as fences. Visualize how the straight line of a fence or a curved walkway might fit with the existing lines of the house, driveway, or trees. There are 4 main ways to describe lines: curves, straight, horizontal, and vertical. None is more important than the others, each has different effects. Curved lines shape informal garden beds and add interest to pathways. Straight lines evoke a sense of order and a crispness that is more formal. Soothing horizontal lines create a sense of stability. Vertical lines project a sense of strength and movement. No matter which types of line you use, be aware that lines lead the eye. Lines going away from you on the ground draw you forward. Horizontal lines on the ground slow you down. Vertical lines lead the eye up and out of the garden. Curving lines take the eye on an intriguing journey. All are desirable. It's up to you to know where the lines will lead you or your eye and what you will see when you get there. Straight lines tend to be forceful, structural, and stable and direct the observer's eye to a point faster than curved lines. The viewer's eye quickly follows straight lines to a focal point. Curved lines. Curved lines look intentional and informal. Gently bending lines can be used to lead people slowly around a corner to an architectural feature or element such as a bench, garden shed, arbor, or vegetable garden, which adds mystery and intrigue to your garden space. Curved lines can help dissolve rigid straight lines of a walkway, fence, house, or other structural feature. Curved lines fit better in a natural asymmetrical design using native plants. Vertical lines. These lines move you up and down in the landscape. Taller trees, larger structural features such as an arbor should make your eyes go upward. They make the space feel larger and help enclose the space. Vertical lines of many houses can be effectively softened by a small tree planted in conjunction with other plants at a corner. Horizontal lines. Just like vertical lines lead your eye skyward, horizontal lines lead your eye along the ground plane. These low lines help define the space and work to tie everything together. Rock walls, edging with plants or stone, hedges, or a clean line between turf and plants are examples that create these intentional low lines. B. Form. Form is the 3-dimensional aspect of a plant, object, or space. It has height, depth, and width. When designing an outdoor space, the form of the space is determined by the placement of plantings, objects such as sculptures, containers, and constructed features. A landscape without a definite form loses its identity and appears monotone. To create a rhythm, apply one form or an amalgamation of many forms. Form and line are closely related. Line is the outline or edge of objects, whereas form is more encompassing. Form is related to the size of an object or area. Form applies to individual plant growth habits or as the planting arrangement in a landscape. Form is the shape and structure of a plant or mass of plants. Structures also have form and to consider when designing the area around them. Common plant forms include round, vase-shaped, columnar, spreading, pyramidal and weeping. When many plants are combined, either of a single species or a combination of species, the form of the group or mass is more noticeable than the individual plant. Plants can also be trimmed into a desired form, as is often done with shrubs. Planting beds forms can be described as symmetrical or asymmetrical, in both bed shape and the profile created by the mass of plants as shown in the figure. Symmetrical or geometrical forms are most appropriate for urban and suburban environments. Asymmetrical or naturalistic forms generally fit within rural landscapes but can be found in suburban landscapes as well. Ground covers. Ground covers are low-growing, spreading plants. Depending on the species used, ground covers can be spreading or upright, evergreen, or deciduous, and range in height from 6 to 12 inches, booth. Many shrubs and vines are used for ground cover because they exhibit these characteristics. Ground covers can be used to define the edge of planting areas, on steep slopes, in large masses and in areas where reduced mowing is desired. Aesthetic benefits include creating a uniform foreground, covering unattractive areas and creating large masses of color. Ground covers can be used in place mulch and are effective methods of erosion prevention and weed control. Figure. A variety of ground covers can provide visual and seasonal interest, like this median which showcases daylilies. C. Texture of plants, coarse texture, fine texture, medium texture. Texture describes the surface of an object and you can see or feel. By texture we mean whether the plant or design feature is hard, soft, fine, coarse, heavy, light, rough, smooth, etc. Leaf structure, flowers, bark, and stone surface all have texture. Incorporating a variety of plant and hardscape textures adds a layer of dimension to the design. Highly textured surfaces and plants should be viewed up close. Bold texture provides a good background and is best perceived at a distance. Due to roadway traveling speeds, the texture of a single plant is not always noticeable. Texture is most noticeable to pedestrians or on low-speed roadways where plants are typically closer to the traveled way and passerby have more time to take in their surroundings. In general, texture in the roadside environment is more effective by grouping plants with similar textural qualities. For instance, at a distance, a group of trees with fine textured leaves appears flat with little visual depth, whereas coarse textured leaves create depth with light and shadow. Plants of varying textures can be combined in a landscape composition to provide contrast and more visual interest. Figure. Texture is noticeable at close range and at lower speeds. 2. Principles of design, symmetrical balance, asymmetrical balance. A garden landscape is composed of various combinations of lines, forms, colors and textures. The principles of garden design include balance, rhythm, emphasis, simplicity, and sequence or transition. The principles of design guide the integration and composition of the various design elements into a cohesive whole. There are two types of balance, symmetrical and asymmetrical, in the principles of design. Symmetry or asymmetry balance can apply to color, quantity, size, and texture with relation to a central axis. Symmetrical balance means one side of the design is a mirror image of the other side. There is a distinct dividing line between the two sides. Symmetrical balance is often overdone in residential landscape design. This approach seems formal and monotonous. Asymmetrical balance is often more desirable for residential landscapes as the balance less monotonous. Asymmetrical balance uses different forms, colors and textures to obtain visual balance. These opposing compositions on either side of the central axis create equal attraction. One way to achieve symmetrical balance is to use the same number of plants on either side of an axis, particularly identical plant species. If the number of plants is different on each side of axis, this can create an asymmetrical planting. However, other visual qualities, such as color, size, and texture, will compensate to create balance. Figure. Repeat same to left and right figure, differs from left and right. Figure. Symmetrically balanced by using the same species and number of plants on each side of the central axis.